6 months have passed since we last discussed this what-if scenario, and the Jeice Brigade's adventures had come to an emotionally satisfying end in terms of their relationship with their former kitten, Captain Ginyu. However, we are not quite finished with their story yet, and as April 1st this year is fast approaching us, it seemed like a good time to remind you about them, as we are getting close to the month in which this what-if was first conceived. 3 years ago at this point. In the previous episode, our heroes learned that future Trunks had travelled back in time to the present, but the situation this time around though was even more precarious than the first time, according to information obtained from the time traveller. After entrusting Bonyu with the organisation's management, Jeice, Guldo, Burter and Recoome, along with Android 16, made the executive decision to return to Earth in order to assist their fellow time traveller. This was not a decision they took lightly. But one last adventure with the group that had put faith in them back in the day after the demise of Freeza back on Namek? Yeah, let's do it. My goodness, that felt like an eternity ago, they thought. When they arrived, they discovered that not only was Trunks' future in bigger jeopardy than before, but the primary threat was a Goku lookalike of some sort. Something of which Jeice in particular, one of Goku's first hype men from way back when, flew into a rage. How dare anyone pretend to be Master Goku and commit such atrocities! It was clear that Jeice was furious after discovering this information, noted by the others who were equally shocked.
If I could deal with that impersonator, it would help me fulfill one of my dormant programming goals that I had been suppressing for years.
16 explained very, very flatly. But then after a long pause, as everyone stared at him blankly, he added to his thoughts. He added the following with a hint of a smile.
That was a joke.
Everyone still remained surprised though. 16? Cracking a joke? Wow, this guy had mellowed out, hadn't he? Trunks though appeared to be in particularly bad shape, so the team acted accordingly and made sure to nurse him back to health first before they asked him even more questions. This was not a good sign. This youngster had already been through a lot, and it was an absolute miracle that he had survived whatever he had been dealing with in the future. He looked rough. While Vegeta was offering some old school training, Jeice had a different idea. Listen Vegeta, let us deal with this. We'll give him some of the team spirit, squad building, feel better training therapy session. The prince blinked twice. He wasn't very impressed with the pushy attitude of Ginyu's former deputy.
Jeice, I believe I understood half of what you just said. Although I intend to train alongside Trunks to help him reach his full potential, you are welcome to join us in this endeavour.
Okay, that was helpful, thought Jeice.
Don't be concerned. It won't take long to us to rekindle Trunks' fighting spirit,
Burter said whilst giving a thumbs up.
You didn't have a choice, did you, with the joke concerning velocity?
Vegeta sighed and rolled his eyes at the same time. The alien's expression, though, suggested he was perplexed.
What exactly do you mean by that? I don't get it.
Burter was simply not getting what Vegeta was insinuating. He was actually serious. The prince then looked away.
Never mind.
Clearly, Burter was fast on his feet, but not quite as fast in the head. The Jeice Brigade approached the future warrior just as he had regained his composure, allowing them to speak with him. The fact that Captain Ginyu was not present surprised the time traveller greatly though.
Hello there, gentlemen. It's great to see you all again, but I was wondering, where's your captain?
Despite their best efforts to maintain a cool and level head at the situation, they knew that he'd be asking this. The squad appeared to be becoming increasingly agitated as a result of this question. The captain was no longer with them, but they were reluctant to say out loud these specifics. The first to speak though ultimately was 16, the member of the group with the least emotional attachment to the former captain, not to mention his logical brain not impeding him from conveying the intel.
Our captain passed away not long ago. There was some betrayal involved, but then redemption took place to make up for it.
Trunks then looked horrified at his impertinence. He clearly touched a nerve with the group.
Oh, I apologize if I offended you in any way. I sincerely apologize.
Jeice though calmed down and regained his fresh expression. There's no need to be concerned, buddy. It happened a long time ago. The Jeice Brigade's finally arrived to help you. On Brench, there's also a fully functioning training facility. We're doing okay, mate.
Recoome won't hold it against you because you weren't in a position to know,
Recoome explained, showing that things between them all were all good. Trunks chose to prod a little further in that case, as a result of there not being any toes being trodden on.
Could you explain to me what happened?
It's okay if I'm prying too much, you don't have to.
But they did begin describing everything that they knew about the mystery of Captain Ginyu. They assumed that Trunks listening to the problems of others, that he might be able to forget about his own problems, for just a moment at least, but that was wishful thinking. It appeared that hearing all of this only made Trunks feel worse about accidentally scratching a fresh wound. Oh dear. They then tried to give Trunks a lot of positive affirmation to make him happier, reminding him what a great warrior that he was, and how important he was in defeating the android threats years ago. But then that only made him feel even worse. No matter what they did, Trunks couldn't shake off this feeling of shame and failure. Guldo was the first to notice this line of inquiry was simply going nowhere. They needed to shift his focus away completely from the setback or anything to do with loss or misery, and move instead towards the next stage of their plan. Guldo piped up. Trunks, how much physical progress have you made since our last conversation? Because we've gotten better since you last saw us, particularly Jeice. Burter then joined in. Yeah, Jeice is indeed the strongest of us all.
Recoome concurs. Our new leader's battlefield ability is truly remarkable.
Jeice was incredibly bashful at all this bolstering. Oh, don't oversell me, guys. But, Trunks, you want to spar? I can easily show you what I can do. Yep, that worked. Trunks got up and cricked his neck.
Sure. If I'm gonna deal with that Dark Goku, I should probably work on strengthening myself.
And indeed, Trunks realized that Jeice had grown significantly stronger. Back in the day, Trunks had an intimidating presence during the Cell arc, at least as far as Jeice could recall. He went into high alert as soon as the fight began. Jeice used his quick wits to avoid his sparring partner's transformation into a Super Saiyan and escape the terror of the future boy's blade. Trunks was caught off guard by this maneuver, and as a result, he left himself vulnerable to attack. He was taken aback then by Jeice's intimidating strength and his ultimate potential unlocked powers. The Brenchian, though, shows signs of concern. Trunks was getting too impatient and demoralized. Come on, Trunks! Keep it up! I know you can do it! Jeice thought he was more powerful than this, but he was still holding back far too much, this boy. Either that or he was judging him based on their previous interaction. Come on, it's not necessary for you to be kind to me. You can go all out against me, pal. That's fine with me.
All right.
Trunks then relaxed and showed them all that he had attained a level beyond Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan 2 was then shown to them all. He had gained that since they had last met, and was now unleashing a devastating barrage of attacks against Jeice. There it was! Jeice could finally sense it. Trunks, on the other hand, did not expect him to be able to withstand those attacks well, and then he was starting to get nervous about hurting him again. Despite this, he had the impression that the swordsman grew more dangerous as the battle went on. It was clear to Jeice that the motivational training was having the desired effect. Jeice fist-pumped in his head. He gained a lot of power, mate! It appeared that Jeice was overjoyed at this news, despite getting a black eye.
You too, my dear friend. On the other hand, I'm afraid Black is stronger than either of us.
Goku, who had been watching the training session throughout, burst out laughing. Of course it would be Master Goku being tactless, Guldo mumbled to himself. Strange things, though, began to happen around the same time Trunks had begun to show signs of victory, and Jeice had begun to lose ground. It was starting to appear that the atmosphere was changing, all as a direct result of an unknown force. As everyone then turned up to look to the sky, an ominous-looking portal had appeared, and a figure emerged from within it. The Dragon Team and the Brigade got exactly what they had hoped for all along. It was Goku, but he was dressed in a different outfit, and looked very devious, in comparison to the airy, happy-go-lucky attitude of the original Goku.
Wow, he really does look exactly like Master Goku!
Someone said, but nobody was paying full attention. Trunks then leaped into the air despite the other's nervous streak.
Hey Trunks, wait!
Shouted Vegeta and Guldo. When Vegeta and the Boolean got closer, they both put an end to his activities and prevented Trunks from doing something utterly stupid.
As the green guy correctly pointed out, you're not yet prepared, boy! Let Kakarot have a shot.
He could tell that was a bitter pill to swallow. It was unnecessary to convince Trunks any further because Goku was already on the scene and ready to engage in combat with his doppelganger. And the fight was rather interesting, actually, with Jeice, Guldo, Vegeta and Trunks following in their stead. Meanwhile, the others could watch the transmission from Whis' staff.
Whoa, Master Whis, that's a nifty device you got there. Is there something it can't do?
Burter was pretty fascinated to see it work in action up close. Whis then could be heard laughing. I never bothered to double check that actually. I guess it could do anything if I needed it to. He then trailed off, genuinely curious as to what the limitations of his staff actually were. But wait, there was a battle and portals to think about, so yeah, that can wait. Goku, as expected, was putting the opponent through his paces by starting the fight slowly and allowing him to show off all of his moves. That approach greatly irritated Vegeta, but Jeice pointed out that it might give them the opportunity to learn more and more about this Goku wannabe. They all concluded that the two competitors had very different combat strategies. Goku, on the other hand, had the ability to triumph if he so desired, because ultimately it was clear that he was the stronger of the two. He was now merely toying with this imposter, that angering Vegeta even more. Guldo was also aware that the portal was acting strangely, even more strangely for unknown reasons. The villain was well aware of this fact too, and during the tense moments of this battle, he took advantage, this heinous guy, of a window of opportunity to strike down Trunks' time machine, the thing that he had escaped to the past in. "You're such a jerk!" shouted the green guy. Despite this, Guldo could see that just being in this location caused him physical discomfort. He wondered if Guldo, maybe, if he timed it right. But before he could think any more about this, they noticed the portal beckoning the evil Goku back into it. Black noticed the portal pulling him towards before he could think. Guldo chose to stop breathing, but the portal remained open. Time hadn't frozen, allowing Black to pass through anyway. Guldo was shocked. Okay, that was the first time anything remotely like this had occurred. It seemed that his time freeze powers did have a limit. After they returned to Whis, the angel explained that Black had been pulled away from this timeline, something of which he had on his finger. Guldo then also explained that this pull appeared to be stronger than his own time-bending powers, as he had tried to stop Black from escaping, but was unable to. Whis and Beerus exchanged a brief glance with one another. That was indeed an unexpected and intriguing plot twist. Even so, the time machine needed repairing, and Goku and Vegeta would most likely be travelling into the future with Trunks once it was fixed. But the future boy's prognosis was not good, despite his strength, because the training had only had a moderately positive effect on him. It was time to proceed to the next stage of the cheering up process. They do it in the style of the Jeice Brigade. The brigade gathered as everyone discussing strategies for dealing with Black. They determined that the time it would take Bulma to repair Trunks' time machine would be the best of his life and should be spent doing so. We can only hope that everything goes as well as it should, and that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.